Now we will present the committee pitches, and for that you may need an overview of the committees again, but I think it's good to have this every year because there is a plethora of committees. You see the General Assembly, that's where the member countries are in CLARIN, and they rely on a scientific advisory board evaluating what CLARIN is doing. And together with the board of directors, they form the real governance of this infrastructure, and that is led by the executive director. And then below the board of directors, you have the central hub located in Utrecht, and then there are three thematic or standing committees, the National Coordinators Forum, which I represent, and then there is the Technical Center Committee and the thematic committees, and you will now hear short presentations of what all of these do, and I'll start with the National Coordinators Forum. So the key role of the National Coordinators Forum is to coordinate between the national consortia and the central hub, and to make sure that the strategy that we have thought of is also implemented on the national level, and to exchange information between the consortia, the countries. So this means that we're doing a lot of talking. But the outcome of that is intended to be an alignment of all the activities, but whereas all the other committees have clear specific objectives that they need to achieve, the National Coordinators Forum, well, we have coordination as our outcome. But we do something in practice as well. I mean, we contribute a lot to the CLARIN Annual Conference by reviewing contributions, selecting speakers, choosing awardees, and a number of those things that go into arranging the whole conference, even though the central hub does the practical work. And as I mentioned, we facilitated exchanges between the CLARIN committees, so we invited them to tell us what they're doing, and then we make sure that if they need something, we can appoint people to the committees. And we shared information on activities, workshops, and infrastructure initiatives across various countries, and of course we provided feedback on the work plan of the whole CLARIN ERIC and the budget. What we are currently doing, I mean, many of you have, or all of you hopefully have heard about the K centers, the knowledge centers that is supposed to take care of sharing of all the accumulated knowledge that is within CLARIN, and making those centers known so that people actually get in touch with them directly and not just the national consortia. That's an important part, and especially we're now working on a virtual distributed case center for large language models. And we need to make CLARIN more visible because there are new students, new people coming every year, and they need to be made aware of what CLARIN has to offer. So the CLARIN Visibility Plan is there, and that also includes user involvement activity for industry. And we support the CLARIN committees, as I mentioned previously. The key goals, I mean, we will keep on supporting training and education. We will expand CLARIN outreach and support the resource families and improve interoperability. All of these are lofty goals, but this is part of what we do every year. And then the central hub technologies and the technical infrastructure, we will support that as well in the various countries. And as mentioned, we will continue to make sure that the CLARIN Annual Conference keeps going. Thank you.
Okay, so my name is Martin Matthiesen from CSC in Finland, and I'm chairing the Technical Centers Committee, TCC. And one of our achievements this year was indeed that we got a new name. But for the real achievements now. So we worked last year with the Core Trust Seal Board on improving their response times and answered their call for reviewers. So 2 of our members are now in the CTS review board and helping with reviews. And we also accepted the German Nestor seal as an alternative to CTS to become a full B-Center member. And we had a workshop on best practices in accessibility, where we shared in accessibility, and improving accessibility is actually now a goal of CLARIN as a whole. And I would like to thank Tone and Leif Göran for their efforts in this regard. We also worked on federated content search, and that is still in an area in focus and will be also, as you see soon, in the future. There were several workshops held, and there's a presentation tomorrow at this conference at 4 p.m. and the hackathon was also mentioned. That's taking place on Friday. And thanks to Leif Göran again and Erik Körner from Leipzig for their efforts. And we also started to collaborate a bit more in detail with the Standards Committee on improving the uptake of the SIS, of the Standards Information System. So 20% of the centers as of now have updated their preferred data formats, and 10% are working on it. And we are working on increasing this number even higher. I'll get back to that in the outlook. And we also had a new form of collaboration between centers, and that involves my center, FinCLARIN, or the Language Bank of Finland. We had to shut down 2 old servers because they were really outdated, MetaShare and WebAnno. And instead of setting up an instance for our metadata system on our own, we contacted Clarino in Norway and asked them whether they would host our metadata. And this was actually possible because of CLARIN, because we all use a shared CMDI metadata format, we all use single sign-on, and we also have a pathway to the VLO. And so moving our metadata to Norway was actually surprisingly simple. I wouldn't say it was without problems, but it was doable. And also promoting the new Inception instance in Greece instead of setting up one of ourselves was a great help for us, and hopefully also for the colleagues in Greece in terms of more users. And I would like to mention here that this is all on top of ongoing DSpace and Corp collaborations that have been taking on for years. As to ongoing activities, so we are still focusing on the federated content search improvement, and we are also collaborating with the Core Trust Seal. It's a very important certification for us. So we don't want them to be slow and want the collaboration to work. And also the Standards Information System uptake is still ongoing. As to goals for 2025, we intend to have 25% of centers connected to the federated content search and 50% of B centers represented in the Standards Information System. And I think if we want to take the I as in interoperability and the FAIR requirement seriously, we should really be working on this. and we continue with the CTS collaboration. And finally, I would like to thank my co-chair Leif Jordan Olsson and also Julia from the head office and Dieter for their help with preparing the meetings and making this collaboration work. Thank you.
Okay, good morning everyone. So I'm Menzo Windhauer, I'm the chair of the assessment committee. And what did we achieve in the last year? So we had an assessment round 23. Actually, CLARIN Slovenia, actually, they received the B Center label. So actually, they got the CTS already. And the same goes for Ortolang. Then there was another round in in April this year, but there were no actual submissions. We had 2 members leaving us, Daan Broeder and Thomas, and we also left, we regret to have lost Rune. But we also have found 2 new members, Paul Trailsbeek and Egon. So we're up in full strength again for the upcoming assessment rounds. So what are our ongoing activities? We'll help centers to meet all the requirements and to go through the phases of the assessment process, which is doing the self-assessment and getting the CTS. Then we try to streamline the whole assessment procedure, for example, by making the report itself clearer. And also we adapt the assessment criteria. So also there, the standards information system, also already mentioned by Martin, will also play a role and become an optional part of the assessment criteria. And just as the technical center committee, we'll also look at the CTS and see how things are going there. So what is our key plans for next year, or for the upcoming year? We have 2 other assessment rounds, so end of October, end of this month. You can submit your self-assessment or the end of April. And well, as a committee, we'll keep on tending the assessment procedure to see that everything goes smoothly.
Yes, hello, and I'm Bente Megaard. And, well, in Danish we say Megaard, but that's different. I want to tell you a few words about the Knowledge Infrastructure Committee. We are 7 members, and this is the maximum according to our bylaws. And they represent K centers and the NCF, and there are a few others like me. And of course, the task is to take care of the knowledge infrastructure, make knowledge visible, and then we have another task that I forgot to write here, and that is the case centers, but I'll talk a lot about case centers. So, in the year that have gone, we have 3 new case centers, and they are all language specific. We have one for Icelandic, one for Romanian, and one for the languages of Ireland and Britain. So we now have 31 case centers. And this is good. I mean, the number of new centers will, of course, be less in the coming years, but there are still fields that are not covered. We wrote a report on existing and potential case centers. That it was an internal report simply to the NCF on, in particular, the potential case centers, of course, the gap analysis. And you just heard from Krista that they have taken this up and they are working on a new case center application for large language models. We had a case center workshop just before this conference, and that was very, very good. It was well attended, but also the atmosphere was good. It's really important that the case centers can collaborate. And then we've been working on recertification of case centers. When you get a certificate as a case center, it will last for 3 years, and then you need to have it renewed if you want to continue. And this year, until the end of this year, we'll have recertified 13 case centers. Yeah, there's not much difference between what we did and what we are going to do and what's ongoing, because we are more or less always doing the same thing, but I've tried to separate a bit. So we have the annual questionnaire to case centers leading to an annual report. This is an important activity that we have. Now, last year, in the workshop we had last year, we were talking about if case centers could contribute to the resource families, because there are so many resource families and some extra support is needed. So we have this, I think, is an ongoing activity. We have the mobility grants. We are evaluating the mobility grants. We have tried to find people from case centers that could participate in the trainers network. We, of course, have to evaluate new case center applications, and then the recertification, of course. And then to make knowledge and expertise known, to make it visible. And this is what I've put as the first task for next year, to make knowledge and expertise easily findable on the CLARIN website. That's what we really want to do, together with the developers, of course. And then we want to promote the best practice papers. We have a collection of more than 40 best practice papers right now, and they need to be promoted, it seems. So we'll be doing that together with, again, with the central hub. And we'll continue to collect best practice papers. So if you know of any, you are welcome to send us a proposal. And they need to be maintained, because what's best practice in 1 year may not be best practice 5 years later. There may be other activities that are more seen as best practice. And then we will encourage the collaboration across borders. And there the borders can be national borders, but they could also be domain borders, across to different domains. And we'll, of course, make the annual case center report, and we'll continue to, or we'll get the case centers supporting resource families working, because until now it's only that they have, some of them have said, okay, we are interested in this type of resource family and we could help, but it's not really started working, and this would happen next year. And then we hope to have another workshop, because that's really, really useful for the case centers. Thank you very much.
Morning, everyone. So my name is Pavel Kamotski, and I am chairing the Legal and Ethical Issues Committee. So what we did in 2024, we actually did quite a lot. Not everything was planned. And our key achievements include, of course, the traditional joint submission for the CLARIN Annual Conference that was accepted, and it will be presented today in the afternoon. And it will be about some most recent developments in the EU framework that affects language data, namely the Digital Services Act and the Data Act. We co-organized a workshop it was a pre-conference workshop co-located with the ELREC conference in Milan, and it was a paper on ethical issues. I myself taught a class, actually a whole course on legal issues during the European Summer School on artificial intelligence, and that's something that was initiated by the office, and that was very generously sponsored and encouraged by the office. So thank you very much for that. We, together with our friends from Daria, the equivalent of CLIC in Daria is the ELDA working group. And our ongoing activity is to liaise and collaborate with them. And so this year, we try to do something every year, and this year we organized a joint panel at the Digital Humanities Conference that took place in Washington, D.C. And just last month, we co-organized a workshop on large language models entitled Follow the Data. It was co-organized with the Swedish National or Royal Library, depending on the translation. And it took place at the Swedish IP office. It really had quite a prestigious lineup in terms of legal expertise from all around the world. A huge success, really. And in a conference that followed, I was representing the CLIC in a panel discussion. So these are our achievements this year. Quite a large geographic spread, as you can say. So we spread the word far and wide. Our ongoing activities are quote-unquote sponsored by the AI Act. And the first subject that we shall work and report on are the transparency obligations in the AI Act. Please don't worry too much about the AI Act, because AI systems and AI models that are developed only for research purposes are exempted from the AI Act. Nevertheless, there is, for models that can also be used beyond research, there is a rather interesting series of transparency-related obligations. And very briefly put, these include the transparency of the training data. So there has to be a summary of the training data provided as part of the documentation of the model, and as well as transparency regarding the outputs that shall be marked in a machine-readable way as AI generated, which is kind of difficult to achieve for text. We are also working on organizing a CLARIN Cafe on artificial intelligence, and this is something we promised for this year, and that we did not deliver, but since with the publication of the AI Act in July, the landscape has changed a little bit. We decided that it might be better to wait for some more time. Our plans, but that's incoming. Our key plans for 2025 include a traditional joint submission for the annual conference, full paper for this year's selected papers. We would like to organize a survey in the CLARIN community and the CLARIN consortia concerning text and data mining exceptions and how they work in practice, how they are used in practice, because they are really developing as one of the main foundations for our activities, at least in some consortia. And we'd like to see if this is something that can be generalized and that we can issue CLARIN-wide guidelines on. We would also like to work on care principles and issue some guidelines as these principles are getting more and more traction. And finally, we will continue liaising with similar working groups in the Daria and in the Text Plus consortium in Germany. Thank you very much for your attention.
My name is Piotr. I have the pleasure of chairing the Standards and Interoperability Committee. And our key achievements in the current year. include two code releases of the standards information system that has already been mentioned here, with new features for better reporting, better statistics, and opening towards other research infrastructures. We have published format recommendations with curated information from 8 centers, and this is dramatic compared to a year ago. I mean curated information, really kind of by the particular centers. And this is largely thanks to fruitful cooperation with the Technical Centers Committee. Members of the SIC have been visible in a whole range of initiatives and projects. I'll spare you the expansion of all the abbreviations. And we have welcomed 2 new members, Alexandru and Tanya. And we have said goodbye and many, many thanks to Charlie Mirth, who is retiring. A snapshot of our day-to-day activities includes the development of the standards information system and work on increasing the uptake. And I forgot to mention in the previous slide that I heard yesterday that the SIS has been used in CLARIN teaching. So, yay. For us, it's a big thing. And we're in the process of tightening the cooperation with the assessment committee, as Menso has mentioned. We are also in the process of taking over the linguistic ontology gold from the linguist list. This is also a visibility issue for CLARIN. One item of attempting to reach out to other research infrastructure is an attempt to effect the introduction of references to CLARIN infrastructure from the Text Plus registry. This is a process that's taking place. And our key goals and plans for the coming year is, well, firstly to grow, to move far into 2-digit region in terms of the number of national consortia represented in the SIC after yesterday's meeting of the NFC, NCF. I always confuse the two. Well, I'm hopeful that this is going to happen. We are also going to fulfill the statutory goals of assisting the NCF and the Hub in improving interoperability across CLARIN, and I hope you will hear from me next year about the details. We're going to finalize the takeover of Gold and deepen or begin liaisons with the standards bodies of Text Plus, DARIAH and CESDA, among others. We already have liaison officers. Yeah, sure, thanks. And we're going to continue the development of the SIS in its 2 parts. The part that reports on format recommendations by the centers, but also the part that informs about standards that are popular or that are about to be taken up by CLARIN centers. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Maria Gavrilidou, and I'm chairing the UIC, the User Involvement Committee, helped by my co-chair, Mieta Lennes, and Juliana van der Lek from the office. Thank you very much, both. So the UIC is a rather big committee as it has representatives of all countries, members of CLARIN, so we're 26. And our main task is to collect all the national user involvement activities, and based on this collection to compile an annual report stating how CLARIN has reached out to the community. Our key achievements then for 2024 was exactly this annual report. Other than that, what we did is we organized a CLARIN Cafe titled Of Users and Infrastructures, which focused on digital research practices and elicitation of the SSH scholars' needs. We helped in promoting the material produced within CLARIN Learning Hub in collaboration with Juliana as training officer. We collaborated with the NCF for the standardization of CLARIN terminology concerning target user groups and academic disciplines. This is because many bodies and instruments of CLARIN use terminology to refer to the disciplines that and to the user communities that we reach out, but we don't use the same terminology. And what we try to do together is to harmonize and have a common vocabulary for that. And in this sense, I participated in NCF meetings when topics were relevant to the committee's tasks, user needs and user involvement activities. So, ongoing activities is naturally the collection of information on national UI activities, what every national network is doing. We will try to implement a pilot project to produce a chatbot, an AI assistant for CLARIN users using our B-Center as a pilot use case, together with Masaryk University from Czechia. And I should mention that several UIC members participate in significant EU projects and initiatives. I have listed some of them here. Now, our plans for the next year, for 2025, is monitoring of national UI activities, our current activity, but this year we will try to develop a monitoring tool so that we can have comparative information with previous years easier. We aim to produce guidelines for supporting user communities, best practices and relevant tools that we could use. Again, this year we will organize a UIC flavored cafe, which, excuse me, you're all invited to attend. And we will organize an onboarding session for new members because each year we have new members joining in, and keeping track of user involvement activities is not an easy task. So we'll have an onboarding session for those people. And we still aim to increase the uptake of the Learning Hub material at the national level, academic and non-academic networks. Thank you very much.